Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today is Monday, January 31st, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys my technical analysis on Bitcoin and where I think it could be headed over the course of the next couple weeks. And of course this is not financial advice in any way, so please make sure that you know these are only my opinions. So obviously Bitcoin is trending bearishly under this purple trend line here, under all of the major moving averages. And recently we had this death cross right here, which of course led to a further decline. We've broken below the area of heavy support that I highlighted at 40K, and initially that led me to believe that it's going to probably plummet to 30K. But recently we've kind of been seeing some bullish price action, particularly if we zoom in, we can see a nice inclining wedge here that we are trying to break out of. And in my opinion, if we break out of that, that could potentially be a bullish signal. In addition to that, we're often like, everyone is probably waiting for the next major area of support, which is 30K. And that's probably when a lot of people believe something is going to happen, that often creates a situation where that doesn't happen. So I'm thinking potentially it's going to reverse before there. Now, I'm not saying we might not see another push to the downside, but I just think that it will probably reverse before 30K if it's going to reverse. But right now it's still bearish, but I do like the way that it is approaching this trend line. And notice all the wicks. You see these candles, all of them have very heavy wicks. Which indicates like a lot of indecisiveness in the buyers and the sellers, and that like a move is pent up and ready to happen. We saw that a little bit here, but not as much as we're seeing it here, and we definitely weren't seeing that back here. And so I'm thinking that if we can break out of this inclining wedge, we could then break out of the trend line, which could potentially be a very bullish signal. I would then anticipate, something like what I have drawn on here. The zone that I'll be targeting for this week into maybe next week would definitely be this 43,000 zone, simply because that was the previous trend high, and I think that's going to act as a strong area of resistance. Another zone that I'd like to highlight would be this low here at around 39,000. That could cause some turbulence as we recover. And one thing that I've noticed about Bitcoin and crypto in general is it does tend to follow the US stock market, which obviously today had a large push to the upside. And if that has truly bottomed out, then I would of course say that Bitcoin has probably bottomed out as well, since they do tend to follow each other a little bit that way. So the possible scenarios for me are either we get rejected by this trend line and the bear trend continues and we head into 30K, which would then be the next area that I would look to purchase crypto in. Or B, we see a push to break out of this inclining wedge pattern, to break out of the trend line. And then for me, the next target would be this 43K zone, because that is the previous trend high. And also, if we continue to push higher, the 50-day moving average will probably start to level out, and we can get a nice coincidence of the 50-day moving average and the 43K zone, the previous trend high, which I think would act as some strong resistance, pushing us back down into, probably back into this 40K zone. If we're going to continue upward, that would of course be an inverse head and shoulders. And then we could continue to push higher. I kind of highlighted this 48K zone simply because that's been kind of significant, and it looks like the next potential area. But in general, I'm kind of leaning more toward the bullish side on Bitcoin for this week and next week. I like inclining wedges. They're one of my favorite patterns to trade. This one is not as clean as Ethereum's inclining wedge, which is looking a lot cleaner on the chart and is actually breaking out of that right now. But regardless, it's still an inclining wedge, and it still looks pretty nice on the chart for a potential reversal pattern. But again, it's definitely reactionary. So if Bitcoin does not manage to break out of the trend line, if it gets rejected, I would say the next target would be 30K, which would represent around a 20% decrease in the price. But the second that we can push up into the 50-day moving average or out of this trend line, I think that is probably the bullish signal that I'm waiting for and that I want to happen. And then eventually, once we can get above the 50-day moving average, that would be where I would start to think potentially um, crypto is looking for new highs again. So that's a wrap for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on TradingView and on YouTube and on Twitter as well. I will see you guys in the next one.